Shaw Cable, dedicated to the community, service, and you, proudly presents Spotlight on UNBC, the University of Northern British Columbia.
Brought to you in part by Northland Chrysler Jeep and Northwood Pulp and Timber Limited.
Entering their 10th year of service and sales to Prince George area, Northland Plymouth Chrysler, home of the Caravan, the minivan that started it all. Celebrating a decade of industry-leading excellence and innovation, Northland Plymouth Chrysler is proud to sponsor Spotlight on UNBC. Keep informed as UNBC enters its first full year of operation. Located at 3rd and Vancouver, Northland Plymouth Chrysler invites you to visit their showroom. Northland Plymouth Chrysler, where people make the difference.
Northwood Pulp and Timber is a proud sponsor of Shaw Cable 10 and its volunteer-produced television programs. Northwood also supports UNBC. As a partner in progress, Northwood has donated $350,000 towards the scholarship fund. When matched by the government, it represents a contribution of $700,000.
Hi, and welcome to the September 1994 edition of Spotlight on UNBC. On this program, a full report on what will likely be remembered as the most important single day ever in the history of this university. On August 17th, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II was here for the official opening of the Prince George campus. We'll take you back to that event and hear from a few people who played important roles on that day. That's our feature story, and it's coming up next here on Spotlight on UNBC. Almost 5,000 people were spread throughout the courtyard and around the Agora when the Queen arrived to officially open the campus. For those unable to attend, here are some highlights from that day. A day UNBC President Jeffrey Weller called a most auspicious start to the life of this university. After being greeted by Minister Dan Miller, Chancellor Iona Campagnolo, and President Weller, Her Majesty proceeded to the stage which had been erected in front of the library. President Weller was first to speak and welcomed those in attendance and the thousands who were following the proceedings live on television and radio.
As we conduct the opening ceremony for the Prince George campus, such extensive representation reminds us that the University of Northern British Columbia has been created by and for the residents of our area. Today is truly an auspicious occasion in the life of this university. Throughout history, as universities were created, they became repositories of all the known knowledge of their time. While UNBC will also continue this tradition, we have, in addition, made commitments to answer the educational needs of our area. UNBC has been designed as a full teaching and research institution and one which will serve the North and the province. Our courses of study reflect the needs of the region's economy and offer chances to discover careers that will lead to fulfilling work for our graduates. This university, created by an act of the British Columbia Legislature in June 1990, already has come to represent opportunity and hope for the future. Now, in the last decade of this century, UNBC looks forward to contributing to the store of knowledge for the next. Our scholars will learn and contribute to the discovery of information for contending with life as 21st century citizens. It's appropriate for me today to acknowledge the leadership of those individuals who came together to steer the course leading to this occasion. We are grateful for the inspired initiative of those who formed the Interior University Society in 1987 and the subsequent work of the Implementation Planning Group, the Interim Governing Council, and the Board of Governors, which have guided the university's development over the past several years. Those of us assembled today, and all who are watching and hearing these proceedings by television and radio, will long remember that something important happened in Prince George this day. We are opening a special place which is dedicated to learning. The work accomplished through teaching and research on this campus and throughout our region will make a difference here and possibly to our country and the world beyond. I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to Your Majesty for gracing this ceremony with your presence. You have brought world attention to the University of Northern British Columbia. Now that the world is watching, we will be even more inspired to live up to our responsibility as a positive force for the advancement of knowledge and the development of human potential.
Entertainment from two cultural groups followed President Weller's address. The Lake Babine Elder Dancers performed a number of traditional dances. The voices of the Kermode Choristers Choir from Terrace brought the acoustics inside the courtyard to life. Chancellor Iona Campagnolo
Today we celebrate both the conclusion of our beginnings and the historic beginning of this most remarkable endeavor, all made even more memorable, Your Majesty, by your gracious presence, bringing with you the eyes of the world. Premier Harcourt, President Weller, and I stood here amongst the trees little more than 2 years ago to open the site on which this magnificent campus now stands. A scant 5 years before that, thousands of people inspired by our founders came together to create a base of funding and individualized commitment from which this university has originated. It has been consistently the achievements and contributions of individuals who have shone most brightly in these beginning struggles. If I may vary only slightly to paraphrase the words of your immensely popular literary countryman man, J.R.R. Tolkien, who has Elrond say of Frodo's courageous acceptance of the burden of the ring, this is the hour of the northern people when we arise from our quiet forests to shake the towers and councils of the great. We confidently expect that our graduates will do so. We can all appreciate this magnificent world-class architecture ranged about us here on this escarpment, and we know that within there are state-of-the-art technologies capable of ending forever the logistical and geographical isolation that has for so long separated too many of the people of this region. For the first time in human history, there exists the means to effect a true universality of educational access, and we can assure that those who live their academic lives electronically will be equally honored and respected with those who carry out their academic lives on this beautiful campus. Our university is electronically and physically both a virtual and a very real community member, working in reciprocal partnership with the 4 great colleges that surround us and the people of the 204 locales that we have been designed to serve. We're ever mindful, like the historic rivers that were once our first information highways, the University of Northern British Columbia is as much a citizen of the Yaqoon, the Iskut, the Skeena, the Nass, the Stikine, the Bulkley, the Nechako, and the Peace as it is of the Fraser near which this campus stands. Not so readily apparent, I think, as the building and the technology is the assembly here of world-class faculty who are engaged at the very highest levels of research, scholarship, and teaching service. The perceived graying of academe has been expressed here in a faculty who are on average 10 years younger than their counterparts elsewhere. But when it comes to students, our students range in age from 18 to 74 years of age at present, and it is estimated that our student body will always contain a significant number of mature students. There was a time when the world attempted to create a student of eminence by having that student be one of the very few survivors of a system in which the prime function was directed at subtly and blatantly winnowing out the majority of the original entrants. We live in a world that desperately needs the talents, the skills, and the gifts of all our citizens. And we need confident, skilled, and flexible human beings who can be our healers, our helpers, our philosophers, and our naturalists, our scientists, our business leaders, and all those capable of being practical use to the onward march of the human family. So in this time of great doubt and uncertainty, we have been sustained by a steady vision in establishing this university and its first campus about the kind of person that will emerge from this institution. The University of Northern British Columbia seeks to provide an environment in which women and men with solid values and worthy character can learn to think clearly and do anything. They are expected to be whole human beings who study in an atmosphere of respect, where the inclusion of knowledge from the First Nations peoples for whom learning has been a cultural imperative in this region since time immemorial is an integral part of the education of every student who comes here, where men and women are on as nearly an equal footing as can be designed and created today, and where the whole spectrum of human difference is celebrated rather than merely tolerated, and our graduates will be distinguished by an ability to expect change, to think across disciplinary boundaries, to use their own natural and acquired abilities to address and resolve some of the very messy conflicts and complex problems that so characterize our world at this time. Today, Your Majesty, you open a new epoch in all our lives. This new university, I truly believe, is a symbol of the growing importance of British Columbia in Canada and in the world. And it is appropriate that we have with us today the Honorable Michael Harcourt, Premier of our province, whom it is my great pleasure now to introduce to you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. The accomplishment that we're marking here today is the opening of Canada's first new publicly funded university in more than 25 years. But more importantly, it's a university that's here to meet the needs of Northerners, to address issues that are especially important to the people living in this part of British Columbia, to be a friendly university, to be open, to be accessible. This magnificent campus, like the Commonwealth Games venues Your Majesty will be visiting in the coming days, is a monument to the pride and the self-reliance of the people of British Columbia. Your Majesty, the people of Prince George, the North, of all British Columbia, are honored to have you here with us to celebrate the achievement of the University of Northern British Columbia. Thank you. And now I'm sure a moment that all of us have been waiting for, Your Majesty.
Chancellor, Premier, thank you for your welcome. I was told that I was to see a spectacular campus here at the University of Northern British Columbia. I have indeed, and you are fortunate to learn and teach in such a matchless setting. The concept of this university is no less exciting than the land in which it is set. To create a new university with operations stretching throughout northern British Columbia requires vision and courage. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all those involved. The 5 interdisciplinary themes of this university are good examples of this Canadian attribute, uniting in a broad sweep First Nations, environmental, northern, women, and international studies. Your buildings, too, reflect the same blend, modern and traditional, and I hope that the interiors lend themselves to learning as well as the exteriors lend dignity to your campus. Yours may be a young university, and it is, of course, a university of the North. But I am confident that before long, students from all over the province, the rest of Canada, and from overseas will be following in your footsteps. I take pride in opening the university, and I wish you all, in whatever capacity you serve the cause of learning, a bright and successful future.
Your Majesty, everyone here today and untold numbers of future students are honored that you have given us your thoughts and your presence on this very special day for us all. I think one of the only things in the world that is greater than a great idea is another and better idea, and one of the ideas that we hope to overturn is that it takes 1,000 years to reach excellence. And so, Your Excellency, Your Majesty, we are delighted you are here, and we thank you. And now I invite you to unveil the plaque that will formally open the Prince George campus.
The inscription on the plaque reads, UNBC, the Prince George campus of the University of Northern British Columbia, opened by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, August 17th, 1994. I should now like to introduce Jackie Watson, one of our first and continuing students, who will present the university's official gift to Her Majesty.
Your Majesty, I am honored to have been chosen out of the first UNBC graduating class and a returning graduate student to be able to present you with this gift. It's a birch bark biting done by Angelique Levac, one of 3 remaining artists who still does this unusual and beautiful work.
Thank you, Jackie. Please all rise for the singing of O Canada, and would you then please remain standing until the official party has left the stage. Thank you.
At the conclusion of the formal ceremony, Her Majesty began a tour of the campus. One of her stops was here in the Northwood Winter Garden, where she met a number of founders, people who are in many respects responsible for the creation of UNBC. The founders were also honored with a reception immediately following Her Majesty's departure from the campus.
There are some things about what went before that I do think are important. One is that the establishment of this university brought the people of Northern British Columbia together in a common cause, and I think that's the first and only time that's ever happened. And in doing that, the second thing that happened was that we identified Northern British Columbia as a distinct or unique region with common interests throughout the region. And I think that's an important legacy. And I suppose the third thing that comes from that is that the people, by pulling together, by the communities pulling together, took sort of the destiny of Northern British Columbia, at least in part, into their own hands and caused all of this to happen. But that's the only important part about the realization of the work that happened before the people came and actually built the place, before the students came, before the faculty came. I think that there are some people who feel that they haven't been adequately recognized, or that the work of the Interior University Society perhaps isn't adequately identified. And I don't agree with that either, because at a point you can only create an opportunity. The University Society people and the communities of Northern British Columbia created this opportunity, but they certainly didn't build it. It was built by people like yourself who joined the university team since then. And particularly in the next couple of years, when we bring these academics together in this academic community, and it starts to function like an academic community, and the students start to come together, and the student body starts to function like a normal university student body should function, and I'm sure this one will. That's really where a university is built, and that's really where a university is created, so that those people that are doing those jobs and are sort of involved in that process, they will also have their sort of founding legacy. I hope that the legacy will be that we will continue to bring Northern British Columbia together, and the communities of Northern British Columbia together, that we will continue to identify the North as a unique region of the province that has common interests or threads of interest running through it, that essentially this institution will be an institution serving the needs of the North. And if you really stop and think about it in terms of societal institutions, there are no other institutions that have been created for the single purpose of developing Northern society, except this one. And that, I think, should be the legacy. Now, whether or not it will be depends on those people that I was referring to just a moment ago. The faculty, the student body, the direction that this institution takes. So I'm expressing a hope, I think, that that's the direction that it would take.
How much of a turning point is this? And do you see this? Because I know for me personally, it's funny because it just so happened that the news release binder is now full. So in a sense, it's funny because this particular event, the Queen's ceremony, is literally the last of the old news releases. And this news release on the start of classes will be the first in the new batch. We thought that was kind of good timing in a sense, and maybe more than
I think that's exceptionally appropriate. And that was another feeling. You were asking about my feelings. I felt that the opening of this campus facility was a conclusion of the work that I was involved in, and the work that others who worked with me were involved in, and that now it was we could clearly turn it over, and now it becomes someone else's responsibility, and the legacy of it will become someone else's opportunity, and we will move forward from here, and whatever happens from here on, my heart will always be with it, but it will be others who will make it happen.
Is that hard?
It's both easy and hard. It's hard from an emotional point of view, easy though from a rational point of view. It's a natural, progressive step. Yeah.
Because a lot of people asked me the same. They asked, are you glad it's over? Until referring to the Queen's sermon, because that was obviously a lot of build-up work. And I said, I'm not glad it's over. I'm glad it went well. Is it the same sort of thing that it's easier to turn over something that obviously has gone so incredibly well?
Yes, yes, yeah. And I think that's exactly the thought that went through a lot of people's minds. It was a stage in the development of the institution, getting it to this point. And although, you know, for me, there were various building stones, but I've been so close to it, I could see it more clearly. This is so visible for everyone that I think it became a before and after sort of event. You know, whatever happened before, whatever happens afterwards. And I think that's good. I think that provides a really nice, clean slate for all of those people who have joined the university and who will carry forward from here. I mean, I can't imagine something better. From the other point of view, you and I have been involved in a process that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And that's why we have that feeling of sadness about it being over. Are you glad it's over? Well, you know, I guess in a sense I'm glad it's over. But boy, was that ever an experience, and a wonderful one to have had.
After meeting with the founders, the Queen continued on to this building, the dining hall, where she had tea with 20 UNBC students. One of those students was Sonia Parmar.
She came and opened the university. She sat down with the students and had tea with us. I mean, it gives you a more relaxed, even though she was this big celebrity, she actually sat down with us and we had tea with her. It gives it a more relaxed feeling. I mean, I don't know, it relaxes things a lot. You're not saying, okay, the Queen was here, she sat here, and kind of thing. It just kind of says, you know, wow, you know, the Queen, Her Majesty was here. She sat with the students. It gives it a more feeling that the university is for the students and not, I mean, she didn't have to sit with the students. She could have sat with the founders. She could have had tea with everybody else besides the students. But it gives it a better feeling that, you know, hey, wait a minute, this university is for the students.
Will you ever forget it?
No. Never. This is something you tell your grandchildren.
Thank you for tuning in to the September edition of Spotlight on UNBC. We've dedicated this program to the events of August 17th. The October edition of Spotlight on UNBC will be dedicated to the events of early September, when students claim this campus for their own. We'll have stories on registration and, of course, the first day of classes here on Cranbrook Hill, coming up next month here on Spotlight on UNBC.
We can change the land together.